right. Good morning. This is the October session of the Special Magistrate for the City of Oviedo. We're going to take up now the Code Enforcement docket. First item on the docket is case CE 17-001706, case of Angela Pittman, involving property located at 585 Doctors Drive, Oviedo 32765. Parcel ID number is 15-21-531-500-0070. The alleged violation is a violation of Section 22-19, which relates to open storage, and Section 2245, general requirements, allowing the accumulation of junk, debris, and an unlicensed and or inoperable vehicle. Who is here today to speak to that?
Your Honor, there's no one here from the respondent. If Your Honor would like, we can do the second case if you want to sit through.
We can what?
We can take the second case.
Okay, speak into the microphone if you would, so we got a record, Mr. Orioles.
Sure. If Your Honor would prefer, we can do the second case, which was a continuation of the last meeting, because all the respondents are here. There's no real reason for them to sit through this case unless Your Honor wants it that way.
All right, you view the first one as taking some time?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then we'll do that. We will move on to the second docket and come back to the first later. All right, the second item on the docket are compliance report cases. It looks like there's just one case on that docket. It's case number CE 17-001184. Respondents are Roy C. Jones Jr. and Judith M. Jones, TRS, FBO. The property is property at 201 West Mitchell Hammock Road, Oviedo, Florida 32765. Parcel ID is 15-21-31-300-0570-0000. The allegation is Section 22-144, public nuisance. Actually, this is a continuation of a hearing last month. This will be either the third or fourth time that this has been placed on the docket. At the last hearing, an issue was raised as to whether this property was even properly zoned for the use to which it is presently being put. So that's the primary issue we're going to consider today, although there was a question whether the respondents had come into compliance with my order. I think it was of August. So we'll address those one at a time. Today, since we have a lot of people, I think I'll swear you in one at a time. And we'll start with the city. Mr. Orioles, would you state your name, please, sir?
Jim Orioles, Code Enforcement Officer, City of Oviedo.
And raise your right hand, sir. Would you solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right. What do the city have to present, Mr. Orioles?
Your Honor, I was already read the case number 17-001184, 201 West Mitchell Hammock Road. I have 19 pages of evidence to present to Your Honor, if I may approach the bench.
Yes, you may. And do they have a copy of this? All right. I'm going to admit this into evidence as defendant's exhibit. This is the only exhibit you have?
Yes, sir.
The exhibit 1. All right. Go ahead, Mr. Orioles.
The first page, Your Honor, is the property appraiser sheet showing the ownership of the properties by Roy C. and Judith M. Jones. The second sheet, Your Honor, is the copy of 22.144 the violations that we have alleged, or Your Honor has already found that they have violated. The third is the notice of violation, which was served, and Your Honor has already ruled that service was done legally and sufficiently. The next document is your findings of fact, conclusions of law and order from June, where you ordered that no fine be imposed at that time, that all vegetation, undergrowth be cleared, drums, staircases, debris removed, harbors for rats and mice and snakes, and all wrecked or junked vehicles. In August, when we came back, Your Honor had asked me a question that I was not prepared for about the zoning of a wrecking yard. If Your Honor will turn the back of the exhibit, I have the table of the city's zoning table. On the one side has 3 highlights on it. The other side has a single highlight. The single highlighted side, you'll see a scrap material junkyard, auto graveyard is only permitted, as I thought it was, but I didn't want to testify 100% at the time, in I-2 zoning as a special exception. It's not permitted in C2 zoning, which this piece of property is.
This property is zoned C2?
C2, yes, sir. And as an aside, Your Honor, C2, motor vehicle repair and maintenance, no body work, is allowed with a special exception. It's not a permitted use. It's allowed with a special exception. The other documents that I have for Your Honor this morning are pictures that were taken yesterday afternoon. And I'd like to particularly call your attention to the first 3 pictures, Your Honor. The first picture is a car that has been partially wrecked. It's sitting on top of a rollback wrecker. The second picture is a car in the field that has front end damage and is covered by a tarp. The third picture, if Your Honor will look all the way to the back, the black car has its trunk is tied with a rope, indicating to me that there's damage to the rear of the car. If Your Honor will look at the rest of the pictures, some of them, the one with the gate, does not really show any vehicles with body damage, but several of them show, as you go through the pictures, hoods that are partially up that may indicate there being body damage to the car. Yesterday afternoon, there were 56 cars on the site. And as for the city, we contend that there was at least 3 inoperable vehicles on the site, which were in violation of the judge's ruling. Certainly, the car on the wrecker and the next one doesn't look like they were there for an oil change or a tune-up.
Last time we were here, I saw one automobile with a tarp on it.
I did not see that vehicle there yesterday, sir.
What's that?
I did not see that vehicle there yesterday.
What is the city's position?
The city's position hasn't changed. The property has been cleaned, it's been mowed, the junk, the scrap parts and everything have been taken off, but it's obvious to the city that they're still using it to store inoperable vehicles, which was in violation of your order.
What is the city's position with respect to the zoning? What does the city regard as the appropriate zoning for this property?
If it is used as an auto graveyard or a wrecking yard, it would have to be zoned I-2. As an aside, Your Honor, I didn't really mean to get into all the zoning issues. The C2 zoning, and I have more evidence I can give to Your Honor as a supplement. The C2 zoning calls for the property to be used with a special exception for automobile repair. It has been used since 2001 in the research that I did for automobile repair. They didn't just start repairing automobiles there. It's been done since 2001. However, we can't find any special exception was ever granted. There was a meeting, and I have the minutes from this meeting of 2006, where Mr. Jones was informed that he would need a site development order and to do repair from another not these people, from another applicant to do motor vehicle repair. And nothing was ever done. It just dropped. It just stopped. If Your Honor remembers the process years ago, what we used to call an occupational license, we no longer call it that. An occupational license, if you came to get an occupational license to do an activity on a property and if the zoning was not proper, we would not issue you a license for that. We would say, I'm sorry, sir, that's not proper. Since then, attorneys, judges, whomever, have got involved, and it's no longer called an occupational license, it's called a business tax. And as a tax, the city cannot refuse to accept the money for the tax. So if you were to come in and want to operate a business that was not zoned for, the city would have to give you the business tax for it. Then the appropriate department, whether it be code enforcement, police, fire, zoning, would have to bring the case before Your Honor to be heard. That created, over the years, a lot of confusion, and people would get a business tax receipt that said, for example, motor vehicle repair, which theirs does say.
There says motor vehicle repair and leasing, does it not?
Yes, sir. Sales and also repair. That was seen by some city departments as permission, and may have been that over the years. But I can tell you that we could not find any special exception unless Mr. Jones has a copy. We couldn't find anything in city records. We can find where he was told about a site development order, but never came back. And even though the BTR, the business tax receipt, says sales and leasing, the zoning is special exception, and we cannot find a special exception.
Was this property at one time used to either store or rent U-Haul vehicles, or was that the front?
That was the front portion, as far as I understand. And I understand Mr. Jones can probably clear it up. I think at the time, 2001, 2006, I think there may have been two parcels. I think the property was combined. And if Your Honor remembers, before Bojangles was there, it was virtually invisible. And the access was actually off of Lake Jessup. One of the comments at the meeting was that the property should be addressed on North Lake Jessup rather than Mitchell Hammock, because that's where for lack of a better term, the two trail, the two ruts used to go up into the property from Lake Jessup. There was not access from Mitchell Hammock. And I don't believe that happened until Bojangles was built, that that access from Mitchell Hammock became used. So the property has been used like that since 2001, but it has changed in its appearance greatly, because when Bojangles built all of that woods where that U-Haul was, the guy sold Christmas trees there for a while. That was just woods, and it was just the U-Haul place and the Christmas tree place butted right up against the woods, and you couldn't see this lot at all.
I remember that. I used to live in Whispering Woods.
Oh, okay. Right there.
Whispering Oaks, whatever they call it.
Whispering Woods, yes, sir.
Okay. They were notified of the hearing today, I assume?
Yes, sir.
All right. I find it's a threshold matter that all notices required by the statute and ordinances have been provided, and I do note that respondents are here.
Yes, sir.
Anything else the city wants to provide?
No, sir.
All right. Who wants to speak on behalf of the respondents? All right.
Sir, my name is Greg Kurowski.
You're going to have to give me that slowly, sir. Spell the person.
Greg, G-R-E-G. My last name is Kurowski.
G-R-E-G, and the last name?
Last name is Kurowski, K-U-R-O-W-S-K-I.
S-K-I. Kurowski.
Yes.
All right. Mr. Kurowski, would you raise your right hand, please, sir? Do you solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right. What do you have to present, Mr. Kurowski?
Let me start from this. I was the one that was at the meeting in 2006 about this property.
Put the
I
microphone
rented this.
close to you, if you will.
I rented this property from Mr. Jones, and then I sold the company to Mr. Jablonski. And I was at the meeting with the city, and we agreed that this property is suitable to to have a dealership over there. And I think what city has wrong position on is they all the time they saying that he's running the scrapyard over there. No, this is a dealership. He buys cars that are damaged. That's what I used to do also. And he sells these cars, most of them to Poland, in the way he buys them. And that's a dealership's nature, to buy car and sell car. And this property is not used to do the body work, never been. It used to do the repairs, which everybody agreed that we are allowed to do that because we had the license to do that, and it was suitable to do that.
So you conducted this business before Mr.
Yes,
Voviev?
yes. I was the one that opened the company.
Business there, sir?
I'm sorry?
How long were you doing it there?
It was from 2006 to 2008.
So you were doing the same business?
Yes,
Mr.
exactly
Voviev?
the same business. Yes, and I was the one that attended the meeting with Mr. Jones, with the city of Oviedo, and everything was fine. And now all of a sudden, he can't store the car that is damaged, that was bought at the auction. He's a dealer. He's dealing with cars. He doesn't run the scrapyard over there. Because the scrapyard is when you buy the damaged car, take it apart, and sell parts. He doesn't do that. He sells whole car. He has the documents for this that are mostly being shipped to Poland.
Okay.
That's all I
All
have
right.
to say.
Okay, who else wants to speak to this? Ms. Natalie Jablonska.
Yes.
Would you state your name in the microphone?
Natalia Jablońska.
All right, and raise your right hand. You solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
All right, what do you have for us, Ms. Jablonska?
Our zone is C2, correct?
What's that?
Our zone is C2. The auto-nation collision in front of the racetrack on the opposite side of the road, they have the same zoning, C2. I have the papers here, and can I show the
Who
judge?
has C2?
Auto-nation Collision Center.
No.
Auto-nation Collision Center.
Okay, I'm not sure. I wouldn't know where they show me. This is Collision Center. And where are they? In front of where? Oh, okay. All right, I know where that is, yes. All right, you want me to keep these? All right. I'm going to introduce this, accept this in evidence. It's 3 pages. Have you seen this, Mr. Orioles? Here, I'll let you take a look at it. All right, so what you're saying that the collision center, this is across from racetrack, I know the one you're talking about, is zone C2? Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, what else do you have to provide?
Like we said, we export cars to Europe, to Poland. That car is already in Miami and it's going to be shipped. So it was already moved there. It's not even here. We didn't touch the body. We don't do body work. So, and the same, this car is already gone. So it's not there anymore.
Okay.
That car here with open trunk, that's brand new Mercedes C300. It has electric trunk, so it has to be open because it can locked. So that's why it's open.
Okay.
Yep, that's it.
All right, I have some questions for you. Mm-hmm. So apparently you have, let me make it just 1 second here. apparently you have operated this, you, Mr. Koviev, have operated this business since 2008?
Basically, yes.
Okay. And you sell cars at wholesale. You take them out to the auction once they've been repaired.
We take them to the auction and we send them to Europe.
How many mechanics do you have there?
Just me and my dad. That's two of us.
Yes.
And we have subcontractors.
How many?
Subcontractors, it's two of them.
Two what?
Two independent technicians.
Okay, so the total number of mechanics that actually work on cars are how many?
3,
Okay. And there are now 56 cars there.
maybe.
Why 56 cars? Why do you stockpile so many?
If you have a chance to buy something that has good price and you are planning to fix it, you just buy it. That's a business.
Okay.
If you have, let's say, if you're at the auction and there's 10 cars that you can buy in good price, you are going to buy them if you have money.
Okay. And how long would you say on the average a car remains there between the time you buy it and the time you take it back to the auction to sell it?
It depends. It depends if the parts are available to fix it, or if sometimes the dealers send us the wrong parts for the car, so we have to wait at least a month for another part. So totally different between the cars.
Well, one reason this even came to the attention, I guess, of the city is the place had high weeds growing up around all the cars, or many of the cars at least, because I've seen the photographs in prior hearings. And of course, there were lots of other, best described as junk there. Nobody may have ever complained, but for the fact that you had, I think there was some plumbing, porcelain, like a toilet or a wash basin. There were foam. There was tires scattered about.
Yeah, but the foams are for the boat that we have the boat that we are going to put the foams in a boat, but we are waiting for material to put them in. But we move all that stuff like city asked us, we did everything. Right now the problem is that we have too many cars, or we want to do body work. We don't do body work. So
The problem with so many cars stored there is the problem that we had initially in this. As they sit there over time, more and more things accumulate, more vegetation grows around them. And I must say I'm concerned that we're going to be back here every 4 or 5 months hearing this same problem.
no, we won't.
Because of
We
the very
maintain.
nature of storing that many inoperative vehicles. Are these vehicles operable at all, any of them?
Yes, they are.
Okay. How many of them do you have to transport to the property?
What do you mean?
Well, some you drive, some you transport. Do you transport most of these? I assume you do not drive these vehicles on the highway once you buy them to get them there, do you?
No, we
Okay,
don't.
So you transport them there. So they are inoperable for all practical
If
purposes.
if engine doesn't start, you cannot start the car, so you cannot drive it.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
Nope.
All right. Anyone else that wants to speak? Anyone else to this? I have some questions for you in a minute, Mr. Owens. Yes, ma'am. And
I am Judith Jones,
Judith Jones.
and this is the first time
Raise your
you've...
right hand, Miss Jones. You solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Miss Jones, what?
You haven't heard from me before, but I agree with you that when we first came here, we had a real mess there. But everybody has worked so hard to keep it cleaned up, and part of it's Florida. With the rain and the grass grows up, it can be up high in a couple months. What is going on now, if they are allowed to stay there and conduct their business as it's supposed to be done, not selling parts, just selling cars, my husband has been over there every single day and made sure, and we will make sure, that the grasses continue to be mowed. That's just one of the things. If you just don't do it, you can't get ahead of it. We managed to get it cleaned up after the hurricane, and at this point, because I was really upset about what it looked like, I'm very pleased with what they've done. The cars are lined up nicely, they're kept in order, they clean up after they're done working for the day. Now, one thing we could do is we could continue our privacy fence up along where Outback is and completely block that off, if that would help in terms of people looking at it and thinking it's a junkyard. But they do not sell parts. That one car that popped in just popped in one day and went down to Miami the next day to go on a ship to Poland. And so we are not going to keep wrecked cars that there is really no hope of fixing. So I just wanted to thank you for your patience with us this whole time. And that, I don't know if anybody else had anything to say, but I appreciate being able to talk to you.
Well, I do commend everyone here for finally getting it cleaned up. I'm sorry it took 2 orders to accomplish that.
Right.
And I agree with you, there's a marked improvement. The difficult problem I'm wrestling with is whether the nature of this business really is appropriate for C2 zoning. And that's the decision I have to make at this point in time. So we'll talk about that as we go on.
Well, we do have the 2 licenses for sales of cars and for repair of cars. And again, that's what Jim talked about being a problem with the way they reissued that. But those are allowed in a C2 zoning, that particular type.
Well, of course, the business license, the occupational license, does not necessarily determine your zoning.
Right. Well, the zoning has been C2 as long as we've owned the property.
Yes.
So that's why Outback is there, too.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jones. Anyone else on behalf of the respondents? All right, if you think of something else, we'll give you a chance. Mr. Jones, you have something to say? Okay. Mr. Orioles. Okay, Mr. Jones.
Yes.
Would you raise your right hand, sir? You solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Okay, Mr. Jones, what do you have?
I have a very hard hearing problem.
I do too.
Yeah, but mine's worse. So the property is 1.5 acres, and I built that building in early 80s, so it's been over 30 years, and it has been an auto repair shop the entire time, and probably half the time it's been also a licensed dealer place, car lot. And so the number of cars, they could be even bigger if they wanted to put more in there. They got plenty of room for cars on a car lot. And they are cleaning it up. And so I just couldn't follow everything else, but I thought I'd get up and at least say something.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Mr. Orioles. All right. Let's talk about the Auto Collision Center. I forget the exact name of that place.
The Auto Nation. I know
Auto
that
Nation.
we do not abide by strict rules of evidence. However, the city would actually object to this being admitted to evidence. If Ms. Jablonska has a complaint about Auto Nation, we'd be more than happy to investigate it. But at this time, I don't see that there's any relevance.
Well, but is it Zone C2?
I have no idea, sir.
Okay.
I would also like to present to Your Honor another piece of evidence, 5 pages, and I'll give a copy to the respondent as well. If I may approach the bench.
Yes, please.
On the second page, Your Honor.
Just 1 second. I will accept this as the city's number 2.
Is it Mr. Karosky? Karosky? Is that your name, Karosky?
All right. Go ahead, Mr. Roy.
All right, so this is the notes from the pre-application meeting of April 19th, 2006 that Mr. Karosky made reference to. On the third page, you'll see the comments from the different departments that were made pertaining to this. The Development Services, at the time he was the Development Service Director, Thomas Walker, review manager, asked how the tenants got there since there was no direct access. He stated that there was no cross-access easement, and I believe this was because there was two parcels. And my understanding is that at the time it was two parcels, it wasn't one. The code enforcement manager asked if he was going to do auto repair. Mr. Korosky replied yes. He asked where he was going to park the vehicles. He replied next door. He said Sean stated that would have to be addressed. Mr. O'Rourke and Mr. Walker stated they would need a site development order. Sean stated that if Mr. Jones wants to treat two parcels as one, he can, or separate, but he needs to make that decision. Sean O'Rourke stated that for parking, it would need improved surfaces. Thomas Walker suggested having Mrs. Jones come and discuss with, Mr. Jones, come and discuss with staff. Lieutenant Tony Velez stated Mr. Jones would come in and discuss with staff to determine how the property is going to be used, and a site plan should be provided. Thomas Walker also stated that signage would be an issue, which is not an issue at this meeting. Sean O'Rourke stated a site plan would clear up all the issues as well as providing proper addressing. The fire department stated that the access road is not stabilized. That, I don't believe, is a problem at this time, since the Bojangles paved the parking lot and the front entrance to the business is now actually through alongside of Bojangles. Thomas Walker, Mr. Korosky stated that he thought since there was the same type of business as a previous tenant, it would be permitted. Thomas Walker and Sean O'Rourke explained that there has been so much going on in the location it needs to be addressed. Thomas Walker stated the property fronts Lake Jessup. That's no longer an issue. Mr. Korosky stated he'll be out of his current location by May 15th. That's long gone. And Mr. Korosky stated he was going to use a monument sign, which again is not an issue because that sign has been gone for years. The reason I submit this into evidence is because it appears to me that their site development order, which was requested, was never issued. There was never one submitted by Mr. Jones. And also, and I understand, again, the misunderstanding, Mrs. Jones says that it's licensed for repair. That BTR does not give permission for repair to be done on the property.
So at this point in time, this is a pre-development review. Was this in anticipation of rezoning, or?
My understanding was that at this time that was to be determined when Mr. Jones brought in the site development order, because definitely the property C2 zoning, automotive repair, is a special exception, and we can find that no such special exception has ever been issued. Although we did not cite the property for that at the time, in all fairness. Our citing of the property was only for the junk, the debris, the inoperable vehicles. We did not cite them as a zoning issue.
Was there a time when this property sold vehicles at retail at that location?
So I'm not aware of it, although the property was virtually invisible. And I would not be able to say yes or no, because before Bojangles was built, the property was virtually invisible from Lake Jessup or from Mitchell Hammock.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Oriels. All right. Mr. Korosky, step up to the microphone.
To answer your question, I had a retail license over there to sell vehicles in the retail.
Where they actually sold?
Yes,
sold there.
yes, I did. Yes,
Okay.
I did during my
Okay. All right, thank you.
And the guy before me also did. The business before me also did the retail.
Okay. All right. Anything else? Yes, Mr. Jones.
I have trouble following. I think my wife told me that the driveway off of Mitchell Hammock, that's a joint driveway for Outback and us. And the property line is the middle of that driveway. So half of the driveway is on our property and half on Outback. And the access off of South Lake Jessup was actually closer to Mitchell Hammock initially. But when Bojangles came in, they eliminated that and put their access further back. And the access off of Mitchell Hammock has been there, I think, most of the, I can't remember when it wasn't there. I don't remember when it went in, but so she mentioned something about the road. So that's the official access. Actually, when I first built the building, we came off of South Lake Jessup for that shop. Back in the corner would be like the northwest corner. That's where the power line comes in. We had a drive going into the shop from there, but we abandoned that. I don't remember when, but we have the access off of Mitchell Hammock.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? All right. Well, I've spent a lot of time looking through the permitted use tables of the city, section 4.10 of the Land Development Code. And of course that does, as Mr. Orioles provide a list of what uses are permitted where. And first, it seems to me this is clearly not retail sales. All the testimony I've heard is that these vehicles are bought at the auction and sold at the auction after they've been renovated or repaired. Even if it was retail sales, it would have to be without outside storage in order to qualify for C2. So I have to rule out retail sales. It's not equipment. Yes, ma'am.
We have a few customers that we sell cars to them. They're retail customers. We have papers for that.
What percentage of your business is retail?
I would say 10%.
Okay, thank you. Certainly not the predominant portion of this business is retail. It's not equipment rental, which would, of course, be appropriate in C2 and Industrial 1. It's not a repair shop without outdoor storage. The fact that it has outdoor storage precludes it from being in that category. That would be C1 or C2. As we go on down the list, we get a little closer. 8.3 is motor vehicle repair and maintenance without body work. That would require an Industrial 1, Industrial 2, or a special exception for C2. We're getting closer, I think, to what this property may be. 5.2 would be wholesale sales with outside storage and display. It certainly has some of the attributes of that. That would require Industrial 1, Industrial 2, or C2 with a special exception. 5.7, manufacturing with outside storage or display. That would require Industrial 1, Industrial 2. And then another potential category, 8.2, is motor vehicle sales with repairs and no body work. That would be C2, Industrial 1, or Industrial 2. I have come to the conclusion, hearing everything today, that it has to be one of three. It's either motor vehicle sales with repair and no body work, which would require C2, Industrial 1, or Industrial 2. That category does not address whether storage is indoor or outdoor. Or 8.3, which is motor vehicle repair and maintenance with no body work. That would require Industrial 1, Industrial 2, or a special exception in C2. Or the one, frankly, I think comes the closest to this, when you really look at the overall enterprise, is manufacturing with outside storage and display. And if you look at section 4.5 of the Land Development Code, it talks about what industrial districts are designed to do. The I-1 and I-2 industrial districts are established to accommodate enterprises engaged in the manufacturing, processing, creating, repairing, renovating, painting, cleaning, or assembling of goods, merchandise, or equipment, or adult entertainment. Certainly, what you're doing on that property is renovating damaged vehicles, cleaning them, repairing them, and then selling them at wholesale. If I had to conclude today what the proper zoning for this was, it would probably be I-1 or I-2, involving the manufacturing with outside storage or display. I do not have to make that decision today. Indeed, it's not my decision to make. The only decision in front of me today is whether this business, as it's presently being conducted, falls within a permitted classification. And I conclude that it does not. I think at best this would be probably an enterprise that requires a special exception to C2. It's presently operating as C2. I have come to that conclusion very reluctantly. I know there's a business on this. I know people are relying on that to conduct their business, but it's still, as just as a matter of law, I do not think it's properly zoned for the business that it is conducting. And I do take note of the Auto Nation down the street, but two wrongs do not make a right. If that is improperly zoned, I'm sure it'll come before me in the proper time, and I will address that at that time. But the only thing I can address today is this property. What I'm going to do, I'm going to, Mr. Orioles, how long would it take them to get through the process of obtaining a special exception for C2?
The development review process says 28 days to address the matter, and after that, I couldn't really tell, Your Honor. I don't know how long it would take.
And who makes the ultimate decision on
The development review director.
Okay.
But they have to have 28 days after submittal to address the matter, and then schedule meetings, hearings, whatever's necessary.
I want to give them sufficient time to go through the process, but I do not want to find us in a position where the process drags out interminably either. So what's your best estimate of, conservatively, of the time it'll take to go through that review?
I would say 90 days.
All right. All right, thank you. All right. I am going to find that the business as presently conducted is not properly zoned for C2. I have to leave to the zoning officials what they review as the proper category. As I say, I tend to lean toward the manufacturing category, or at least a C2 with an exception. I'm going to permit the respondents 120 days to apply for, to obtain. I expect that the respondent will apply before then to obtain the proper zoning or a special exception. Should they fail to do that within 120 days, fines may accrue at the rate of $100 per day. Should for some reason the city be responsible for delaying it beyond the 120, I will entertain a motion for extension by the respondents. There is the subject of the past fines. As of the last hearing, I think there were probably somewhere in the nature of $5,000 in past fines that had accrued, and I had abated pending a final cleanup of the property. I'm not going to impose those fines at this time, because I do find that the respondents, albeit with a little foot dragging, have remarkably cleaned up the premises. No administrative costs are requested, none are imposed. Yes. I have ruled, but I will hear you nevertheless. Go ahead.
I have a question. 8.2, it's motor vehicle sales with...
I'm sorry?
The section 8.2, it's a motor vehicle sales with repair, no body repair.
Yes.
It's permitted. So why we have to apply for 8.3 if we have this one already?
I do not think the property, as that's being used, falls into that category.
But we sell cars with repair.
You do,
Yes.
but you also stockpile cars on that lot.
We don't stock them, we just buy them because we have chance to buy them in a good price.
Ma'am, I understand what you're saying, but I have found that that is not an applicable. I reject that.
So it's on 8.3, it's good?
That's 8.3 still requires a special exception to operate in C2.
Yes, so the stocking the cars is going to be fine with that section?
I'm sorry?
That, having the cars is going to be fine with that section?
Yeah. Well, certainly, I think that if the city granted a C2 with a special exception, 8.3 would be appropriate. The problem is you do not have a special exception right now. You're zone C2, but you have no special exception to operate as you're operating.
What percentage of retail cars would be fine to be like retail place? What percentage of the retail sales would be fine?
I do not know that there's any magic on that. But right now, it's certainly your predominant use of that property is renovating and repairing automobiles for sale at wholesale. That is your dominant business. I don't think there's any question about that. And as I say, if I were ruling today, it would be my feeling you require an I-1 or I-2.
Okay.
But I'm not making that decision.
Mm-hmm.
My decision is it's certainly not C2. Okay?
Thank you.
All right, any questions anyone has? All right. Let's move on to the next item. Just 1 second, let me organize here. All right, the next item on the agenda is case CE 001706. Respondent is Angela Pittman. Property is located at 585 Doctors Drive in Oviedo, Florida, 32765. Parcel ID is 15-21-31-5000-0070. Allegations are violation of Section 22-19 and Section 22-45 of the Code of Ordinances, allowing the accumulation of junk, debris, in an unlicensed or inoperable vehicle. Who is speaking to this?
I will, Your Honor.
All right, you raise your right hand, Mr. Oils. You solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do, Your Honor.
All right. What do you have to present on this one, Mr. Oils?
Your Honor, case number 17-0001706, 585 Doctors Drive. Violations of Code 2219 and 2245. I have 28 pages of evidence too.
All right.
And if I may,
Yes.
if I may approach.
Going to admit that into evidence as the city's exhibit number 1.
Also want to point out, Your Honor, there is no one here representing the respondent.
Yes. All right, first, tell us what notices have been provided, Mr. Orioles.
Notice, okay. We issued a notice of violation on September the 6th, 2017, and at the, Your Honor will see a notice of certified mail receipt. We also posted the property, sent first class, and posted City Hall at the same time as per allowed in 162.
All right.
We did the same thing with the notice. We did the same thing with the affidavit of violation notice of hearing, which was dated September 26th, 2017. Certified mail receipt is shown, but we also posted the property, posted City Hall, and sent it first class, as we knew from initial notices that we sent that they would not be accepted.
All right. I find it's a threshold matter that all notices required by statute and by ordinance have been provided. All right, go ahead.
Okay, the first document, Your Honor, is the property appraiser sheet showing that the owner is Angela Pittman, 585 Doctors Drive. The second is the two applicable ordinances, and I've highlighted on 2245 one of the thresholds of evidence that will be obvious later on in the case. On September the 5th, we went out, we had received the complaint and went out and did an inspection on the property. And the pictures you want to see is the first picture. You can see the junk, the old windows and stuff that's sitting behind that trailer that's also stacked full of stuff. The second picture shows basically the same thing, the trailer with debris. The third picture shows the rusted vehicle has an expired tag, and the next picture shows the tag on the back of the vehicle. It was taking telephoto lens from the street. The next item shows registration history results showing that vehicle was registered to Miss Pittman. Shows the VIN number. The next document shows that same VIN number on a David driver and vehicle report as not having a tag assigned to it. And the next one shows the registered owner is Angela Pittman. We sent a notice of violation, as already has been said, on September the 6th. On September 18th, now keep in mind, Your Honor, that this was in the middle of the hurricane, so we were a few days late with the 16th reinspection that we were supposed to do. We were doing hurricane damage assessment, things like that, so it was the 18th until we got to doing reinspection.
So the first inspection was November 6th?
Yes, September 6th, sir.
Yeah, September.
Yes, sir. And the reinspection was scheduled for September 16th, but we couldn't do it until the 18th.
The second inspection was when?
September 18th.
Typically, you do those in 10 days.
Yes, sir.
And they were given how much time to comply in the first notice?
On the first notice violation, 10 days.
10 days.
I can testify, Your Honor, I don't have the documents here. We had sent courtesy letters and follow-up letters before that, which had all been returned unclaimed.
Okay.
And we did take Your Honor's advice and sent one of them in a plain envelope to see if maybe we could get results that way. The next you'll see, Your Honor, is the picture of the unlicensed vehicle still there, and the van that you will see in another picture. You also see the junk and debris that was still there behind the van and behind the car.
Does the van have an expired tag?
I couldn't see a tag on the van, Your Honor, but as I will get further on down the line, I will show you there's vegetation growing up
Okay.
that would qualify it as an inoperable vehicle.
Okay, go ahead. This is the one I'm looking at right now.
No, sir, there's another picture. There's another picture after the pictures that were from this morning,
Okay.
after the notice of hearing. Now, I apologize, the quality of some of these pictures is not good. I don't know why they came out that way, but you can see the junk and debris, and you can also see two pictures of the van with the grass over the, at least over the radiator, indicating that it's an inoperable vehicle.
Any crash going around the Plymouth?
Yes, sir. The smaller car has been partially covered by a tarp, but it's the same vehicle. It's been there the whole time. That's the last picture I have there. And the last bit of evidence I have is the VIN number from the Plymouth, the small Plymouth that was run again this morning, showing there's still no registration for that vehicle. No tag assigned to it, no registration for it.
Okay. Now, is the problem the two vehicles? There's plenty of other junk on the lot, or you can, at this point in time, are we really talking about the two vehicles?
Talking about both, sir. The junk,
And the junk.
junk on lot and the vehicle, sir.
Okay. All right, anything else?
No, sir.
Okay, let me take a look at something here. All right, I'm going to find that the respondent is in violation of 2245 by maintaining motor vehicles on the property that's not licensed, not operational, and which from all appearances are physically or mechanically incapable of being legally operated on the streets. I'm going to find there's also a violation of section 2219 of the Code of Ordinances relating to open storage. There is a real hodgepodge of all kinds of things on this stored here. Just looking at the photographs. Buckets. Looks like maybe construction debris. Any number of objects. I don't know, remnants of metal buildings. It's very difficult to tell exactly what is there, but there's a large pile of debris scattered about. I'm going to give the respondent We do not have a meeting scheduled in November, do we?
No, sir.
All right, I'm going to give the respondent until,
The next meeting is December the 7th, sir.
all right, I'm going to give the respondent 30 days. That'll be till midnight of November 24th to bring the property in compliance. Should they fail to do that, fines may accrue at the rate of $75 a day for each day thereafter. All right? Anything else to come before us today? All right? Then we are adjourned.